Good morning, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and you saw it here. You saw the trial here on Crime Talk, and now you saw the verdict read live.
The jury having reached a verdict, Ms. Guyger and your team, would you please stand? We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Amber Guyger, guilty of murder as charged in the indictment. No outburst. And it is signed by the presiding juror, who is juror number 11. Mr. Rogers, would you like to have the jury poll? There you go. All right. You may be seated, Ms. Guyger.
Amber Guyger was found guilty of first-degree murder of Botham John. The sentencing will be this afternoon at 1:30 Central Time there in Dallas, and in some states, not a lot, but in some, the juries will come to the determination of sentencing. A lot of states don't do this, but Texas is a little unusual in this, and based upon that process, I believe, is the most important part. And it is a science in and of itself how you select a jury. A lot of it is gut feeling. There's people that are making eye contact with you or your client, and you have to try to get that feel for it. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. You just never know until the verdict is read if you got it completely right. So that was one of the most important parts. But the second part, and we aired this all day yesterday, was when they were arguing about jury instructions, okay? I guess it was actually 2 days ago, but jury instructions. That is significant because that is the law, the definitions, the elements that the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And in this particular case, the defense argued for the Castle Doctrine instruction, basically saying, hey, if you believe that it's kind of your house, you have a right to defend yourself. I didn't think it really applied based upon kind of the standard, but the judge said that I'm going to give it, okay? And normally, for an instruction to be given, for example, like on a self-defense or this Castle Doctrine in Texas, the standard is very low. It just has to be a mere scintilla of evidence, okay? And one of the reasons why cases are reversed on appeal is when the judge is tendered instructions, usually by the defense, and the judge rejects it. And then it goes up on appeal, and the Court of Appeal says, hey, there was some evidence here. You should have given that instruction. So the judge basically made a very smart decision. I've argued this judge before in front of judges and said, hey, listen, Your Honor, cases come back when you don't give them instructions. Let's give them the instruction, and if they believe it's viable, they can do it, but at least not, they've had a chance to reject it. And here, the jury rejected those defense instructions that were favorable to the defense, and the judge, basically, for lack of a better term, made a clean appellate record on that because the instructions were tendered, jury had an opportunity to consider it, and they completely rejected it. So that was probably, had those instructions been rejected, been one of the best appellate arguments that Amber Guyger would have on appeal, but with that being said, it's pretty much gone. This was a pretty clean trial. In fact, I think the judge went out of her way to make sure that Ms. Guyger received a fair trial because no judge wants their case to come back. And this Judge Kim, Judge Tammy Kim, did in my opinion, a very good job. I was a little surprised when she was crying at various parts, at least one part in the trial. I didn't think that was particularly appropriate for a judge, but this is human stuff. This is things taking place with, it's unplugged. It's reality. It is what it is, and it was obviously emotional trial facts. There are no winners in this case. The Botham Jean's family, Botham John, I'm sorry. No, it's pronounced Jean, isn't it? Like Jean, like, yeah. Sorry. So the Jean family, they have a civil lawsuit pending, obviously against Ms. Guyger. She's going to have no resources, no money. But of course, they're trying to sue the Dallas Police Department, saying that if you had provided better training, maybe this never would have happened. Obviously, I think that in the civil suit, the Dallas Police Department will allege that she's off duty. What are we supposed to do? But police officers are technically on duty 24/7 in most jurisdictions. So, my guess is at some point the city of Dallas will settle with the Jean family. So they're coming back this afternoon at 1:30 for sentencing. Basically, you're probably going to hear from the prosecution side. You're going to hear family members more about Mr. Jean. You're going to hear about her, or about his, his family, how they've been affected by this, and what they think is the appropriate penalty. Okay, it's very emotional, but it's very hard for a jury to actually, sit there and say this is the punishment that you're going to be imposed. My experience, jurors are a little, when they do the sentencing, and my experience with that was in the military, where you can have the jury members in that particular case do the sentencing. They usually come back a little softer on sentencing than a judge would do, because frankly they have a better idea as the judge does as to what is kind of normally the appropriate sentence. But that's the beautiful thing about the jury doing the sentencing is the people decide. It's a very good system in my opinion. The defense, they're probably going to be somewhat limited. Amber Guyger's testified, but there may be appellate issues that they'll try, so she may or may not testify. She's already said really what she has said. And, the question is whether she came across as credible or not. I think it looked a little rehearsed, a little scripted, and I frankly would not have put her on first in the defense case as they did, or, really close to being first. I would have put her on near the end and see how things played out. I think that was a tactical decision the defense made, and, frankly, I don't think it was the overall decision that her placement in testimony would have made much decisions at all. But clearly at that point, when you put a defendant on the stand, it goes from looking at all of the evidence to, do we believe her? And clearly the jury rejected Amber Guyger's testimony. And I thought the cross was somewhat effective on her, is that there's so many things that she could have done. Okay. And so often police officers and police-involved shootings get a complete and total pass because they're police officers. They were in fear of their life. But here she was off duty, and a jury looked at it and said, you know what? You should have done everything you could have. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing to have, because so many times in any kind of case where there's a shooting, a stabbing, where somebody's claiming self-defense, juries look at it and say, what were other things that you could have done before you had to actually shoot somebody or stab somebody to defend yourself? And here the jury rejected her claim that she thought she was in her apartment, that she thought that there was an intruder in there, and that she was in fear for her life. They basically said you should have retreated, gone out the door, called the police, do anything. There were so many clues that she should have done, but maybe if she wasn't texting her partner, and when I say texting, I mean sexting her partner, as all this was going down, maybe she would have been a little more attentive. So, and that's where I thought maybe the jury would at least come back with some sort of manslaughter or something along those lines, but they rejected that as well. So we're going to come back at 1:30. We're going to have the sentencing phase. We appreciate you tuning in. If you like the channel, please subscribe, hit that like button if you like this. We're going to try to provide more of this type of information to you, to be the place where really you can come to for basically the raw facts. We've tried to be the most unbiased, fact-driven channel on YouTube when it comes to the true crime genre. And here, by letting you actually see the trial, we're not spinning just the facts. We're going to talk about it, but you all can go back and look at the facts and see, what the jury would have done, or see what the jury did in this particular case, and would you have done the same thing? So leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Have a great day, and we'll be back after the sentencing phase.